Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to part 3 of our Dunwich Legacy playthrough. The Miskatonic Museum. William Yorrick, the actor, has already been through extracurricular activity. And, what's the second one called? The House Always Wins, the casino one. And here we are, coming into number 3, Miskatonic Museum. And let us read to you from the dastardly tomb of the devil! Interlude 1, Armitage's fate. Check your campaign log. If the investigators were unconscious, nope, that's not us. Skip to Armitage's fate number 2. When you arrive at Dr. Armitage's home in South Side, you find him sitting at his desk, pale-faced and sweating with worry. He is grateful to you for searching for his colleagues, but he doesn't look relieved. With a long pause, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. He straightens his glasses and explained, I'm afraid I must apologize. There's something I didn't mention to you earlier. Dr. Armitage then spins a tale you would scarcely believe had it not been for the harrowing experiences earlier that night where we were attacked by a gelatinous cube inside of a casino. In the campaign log, record that the investigators rescue Dr. Armitage? It can't be. Okay. We rescued Dr. Armitage. Fine. Any one investigator may choose to add Dr. Henry Armitage for his deck. This does not count toward the investigator's deck size. It can be found in Armitage's Fate Encounter set, indicated by this icon. And this thing, right there. There you see it. The story continues in Scenario 3, the Miskatonic Museum. Several months ago, Armitage and his colleagues stopped a rampaging horror from tearing through Dunwich, a backwater town several hours north and west of Arkham. At first you imagine that this beast as a rabid bear, or worse, but the professor's description of the creature paints a different picture. It all began when a man named Wilbur Whatley entered the Orne Library looking for Alaus Warmis's, holy Lord, Latin translation of a book called the Necronomicon. Clatu Vrata. Oh, let me get there it is. That's what we're reading here. Sorry. It is what it is. The Necronomicon. Wilbur already possessed a beaten-up English translation by Dr. John Dee, but it was insufficient for his purposes. Armitage turned the man away, fearing what use the strange man had for the book. Whatley returned in secret, hoping to steal the book, but was attacked by a hound guarding the university. You old hound. Armitage, Rice, and Morgan later discovered Whatley's body, a description of the foul corpse, semi-anthropomorphic, that means an animal with human features, if I remember my geology classes right, and covered in fur with a leathery hide and greenish-gray tentacles, causes you to question whether or not Whatley was truly human. Check the campaign log. If Dr. Henry Armitage was kidnapped, proceed to Part 1. He was kidnapped. Part 1. The notes written by Armitage in the journal stress Whatley's desire to get his hands on the Necronomicon for some terrible purpose. As you read on, it seems that Armitage brought the university's copy of the tome to Harold Walstead. Man, this is a lot of names. Harold Walstead, the curator of the Miskatonic Museum, for safekeeping in the museum's restricted hall. Although you are worried about your mentor, you are equally worried that Armitage's kidnappers might get their hands on the Necronomicon. You decide to head to the museum to prevent them from acquiring it. Okay, the setup is already complete. The Void. Some cards in this scenario reference an area called the Void. The Void is an out-of-play area next to the Act and Agenda deck. Right there. Which the Haunting Horror enemy can enter and leave via card effects. While the Haunting Horror is in the Void, it is considered out of play and cannot be affected by player cards or investigator actions. Do not read, blah, blah, blah. We'll read that at the end. Okay. That was a little bit exhausting. But guess what? We're ready to play. Now, I have made a few changes to the deck. You can look by clicking on William Yorrick's card. What's up, Silver? You can check by looking at William Yorrick's card that I have added Charisma, which will let us have 2 allies at the same time out on the battlefield. Yes, battlefield. My old Magic the Gathering lingo. At the same time, 2 allies. Alright, that's charisma. And we also have a copy of Lucky, level 2. And now, since this is already set up, we just give this deck a hearty shuffle, and we'll be on our way with the Miskatonic Museum. Alright. That is a shuffle if I have ever seen one. So hold on now. Let me reference my book again. The investigators. Each investigator begins play at the museum entrance, and since we're well aware that I'm playing this game by myself, that the only investigator, William Yorrick, will begin play at the museum entrance. All right, let us take a gander at the museum entrance. The Miskatonic Museum is an opulent and stately building supported by expeditions funded by the university. Its sizable collection of erotic artifacts, oh sorry, that's exotic artifacts, yeesh, and art has drawn visitors from all over the country. We have entered it, so we will reveal it. Investigators at the museum entrance cannot gain resources. Great. And from here we can resign. How important can a book really be anyway? As you approach the museum, you draw your coat tighter around your body to keep the wintry air away. Man, I'm telling you, I'm living in Hangzhou, China right now, and we are pretty far away from winter. We're entering spring, and the sweat is already beating on my forehead. The full moon drapes the building in ominous bright moonlight. So there we are at the museum entrance. We're going to draw our opening 5 cards. A 1. Just getting it in line with the camera. Take the initiative. 2. The Lucky Rabbit's Foot. 3. Madame Lebranche. Let me readjust this camera here. Oh, yeah. I readjusted it all the way off the stand. Alright, sorry about that. Get this. Yeah, it's my first day, so leave me alone. Alright, there we go. Madame Lebranche, and we also have a Resource Cache, Chinese edition. And our Treachery card, Drawing the Sign. We will mulligan that back into the deck and draw another card. If I found the things erotic that I found exotic, well, I guess that's why I'm, what you would say, a world traveler. There's our Lucky, but it is only level 1. Alright, so we have Take the Initiative, Rabbit's Foot, the Old Madame, Resource Cache, and Lucky. So, from the museum entrance, we can get to the museum halls. From the museum halls, so the museum halls reads, I have a Chinese, I wanted a second core set, kind of like Lord of the Rings. You need, you really want to have 2 core sets, and the Chinese one was much cheaper than the English one, so I got a second copy Chinese core set. So you can see that the museum halls reads that the entrance to museum halls is locked. You cannot move into the museum halls, but we can test our might at a value of 5, which is not bad. We have 4 to break the door down. If we are successful, we immediately act to advance to Act 1B. Excuse me, I hit the mute button. See, I would have done this whole thing on mute if it wasn't for you, Silver. The only follower that really matters to me. Of course, the only one that ever comes. All right. Finding a way inside the act deck. Unfortunately, the entrance to the museum is kept locked at this late hour. A security guard is visible through the whole building's front window, oblivious to his surroundings. Perhaps you can find a way to get his attention and convince him to let you in. So, to get past Act 1, we can either we need to discover 2 clues. But we can also force our way into the museum with a might test of 5. That's going to be a little bit tough for us since we only have a might of 4. Let's just play it out and see what happens. If we break the door to the museum halls, we immediately go to Act 1B. So we can break the door, or we can find one of the 2 clues on the museum entrance, right? Which is a 3 shroud value clues. There's 2 clues. We might have better luck with the might, but anyway, I think we're gonna have to break in. Let's play. So we'll take our 5 resources to start the game. A 1, a 2, and a 3, 4, 5, and we'll pay 1 resource to play the Lucky Rabbit's Foot. Now with the Rabbit's Foot, every time we fail a skill test, we can exhaust the Rabbit's Foot to draw a card. And now we're going to use Take the Initiative to just try and break the door open. So this has 3 wild icons, but -1 for each action that we've completed. So we've just played the Rabbit's Foot, that's 1 action. So this will give us 2 wild icons, which we'll use for might to give us 6 might against the 5 that we need to break the door. But we are holding on to Lucky. So hold on. I must grab the token bag, and I will return. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are holding the perpetually important token bag. And now, we will draw our first token of the game. Our 6 might, because of the 2 pips from Take the Initiative, against the 5 that we need to smash the glass. We have -2. So we will pay 1 resource and use our copy of a Lucky and put it in the discard pile to give ourselves +2 after we fail a test. So we can complete this, move to the museum entrance. No, we don't automatically move. We just go to Act 1B, finding a way inside. So we have found our way. 1B. If the investigators spend clues to advance. No, that's not what we did. If the investigators successfully perform the smash the window action on the museum halls to advance, with great strength comes great responsibility. Oh, Uncle Ben, go away. With great strength, you break down the door of the museum, making considerable noise as you do. So a little ambience for you. The security guard sees you enter and cries out in fear, and rushes towards the back of the museum. Boy, I wonder how much they're paying this guy. The door leading to the museum halls is broken. Reveal the museum halls. Advance to Act 2A, breaking and entering. So first, we reveal museum halls. Right here. Museum halls is connected to each copy of exhibit hall. Investigators in the museum halls spend 1 clue to advance as a group to put the top card of the exhibit hall deck into play unrevealed. So this scenario and the setup has 6 exhibit halls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see. Well, there's 6. Just trust me. But the one that we need to go to is in the bottom 3. There's no one else in the room with me. This is just me. It's just me. Night at the museum. The Necronomicon is being kept in a restricted hall somewhere in the museum. Adam barely knows his way around and gives you a startled jump at every creak in the old building. I just started here last week, he explains. What sort of trouble did you say was going on? You haven't the heart to give him the full story. If an investigator enters the exhibit hall, restricted hall, advance. So now we must dig through the exhibit hall to find the restricted hall. And, as the card says, advance. So that was 2 actions. As a third action, we will simply move to the museum hall and end our turn. Gaining a resource and drawing a card. We draw a stray cat. We add a doom to the agenda, which has 5 doom threshold. And we take our first mythos card of the game, Twist of Fate. Reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If you reveal the wild symbol or a positive number, nothing happens. If you reveal any number, take 1 damage. If you reveal any of the other symbols, take 2 horror. Well, alright. Thus we shall do. Reveal a token from the bag. It begins. A -1. So it is a number token, so we take 1 damage. 1 of our 8 is down. And we begin our investigator turn. Now we take stock of what we've got. We have got 4 resources. We're going to spend 3 and play both of our allies, utilizing our charisma card, which is a permanent that allows us to have 2 allies in play at the same time. So this is our first 2 actions. We'll play the Madame. Of course, if we have no cards in our hand, we can exhaust her to draw a card. If we have no resources, we can exhaust her to gain a resource. And we'll play our stray cat, which as a fast action we can discard to evade a non-elite enemy at any location. And now, the museum halls don't have any clues. So we must go to either the administration office or the security office to try and find a clue. We will go to the administration's office. If there's any clue there, it will be at the administration's office, as the administrator is on duty and he can help us, I'm sure. A sturdy wooden door with a plaque next to it reads, Administration. In the hall outside the doorway, you see a row of paintings depicting the museum's many curators through the years, each adorned with their name and the years of employment. Perhaps it's just your imagination, but they look more distressed in recent years. So as the years go by, I guess these guys go a little bit more crazy. This has 1 clue at 1 shroud, so that'll allow us to at least get our first exhibit hall draw. But our turn is over, so we will take a resource and draw a card. A stray dog. It's another ally, so we'll have to get rid of one of our other allies, or we'll not be able to play this one. So we can only play, usually, only play 1. But because we have charisma, we can only play 2. We add another doom to restricted access, 2 of 5, and we'll draw a mythos card. Visions of Future Past. Remember that awesome X-Men comic, Days of Future Past, until they made that terrible movie. Test willpower 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of your deck. Oh, I see what's going down now. They're trying to mill us out. So we have willpower 3. We're testing 5. I'm not going to spend any cards on this. We're just going to lose what we lose. A skull. Well, in this scenario, a skull is -1, and a -3 if the haunting horror is at our location. So our -1 gives us 2 against the 5 test, which means we discard the top 3 cards of our deck. Now this isn't so bad for us, as when we kill an enemy, we can take cards back from our discard pile. That is the beauty of William Yorrick. And we begin our next phase. We have 2 knowledge. We're going to have to get this clue. So our 2 knowledge against the 1 shroud value. I like the X-Men Universe 2. The movies, not so much. The cartoon? -4. That is a fail getting the clue for our first action. We will just try again. Oh, wait. We failed. So we will exhaust the rabbit's foot to draw a card. Lucky. And this is our level 2 lucky, which will give us +2 on our next failure and allow us to draw a card. So bring it on. A +1, we get the clue. And we will use our third action to move back to the museum halls, as we have to go back to the museum halls to reveal a card from the exhibit hall deck. We are finished, so we take a resource and a card. Take the initiative again. 3 wild icons, -1 for each action we've taken. A pretty good card if you're playing solo. We had a third Doom out of 5 to restricted access, and we take another Mythos card. Passage into the Veil. Test your willpower 3. This test has +2 difficulty if the haunting horror is at your location. Well, he is not. If you fail, you must either discard the top 5 cards of your deck or take a direct damage and deal 1 damage to each of your ally assets, which will kill the cat and wound Madame Lebranche. The deck is trying to kill us. The agenda deck is trying to kill us by discarding our deck out. This I can see, it's plain as day. So let's make our willpower test of 3. We perhaps could win, as we have willpower of 3. It's too bad that if the X-Men movies were coming out now, like after the, I mean, X-Men 1 and 2 were really awesome. All the first class and ones with the young X-Men, I don't know. I do like seeing Michael Fassbender do anything, but I feel if they were coming out now after the Avengers, they would be. X-Men has always been the best comic series, so -2, that is a fail. We're gonna just use our lucky to get +2 and pass and draw a card. I don't know if that's the best move, but now we have a resourceful, which gives us a bunch of icons that we can use for any test, knowledge, fight, and an agility. And if we are successful, we can take a survivor card, even lucky, back from our discard pile. Anyway, we pass the test. We don't have to lose anything. We don't have to take any damage. And we begin our turn again. We ready our rabbit's foot, and we will use our first action to spend a clue and reveal the first exhibit hall. It is, so we don't get to flip it yet. We just reveal it. So let's move her over here. All right, so we've revealed the first exhibit hall, but we can't get there from the museum halls. We must go first to the administration office, then over to the exhibit hall. So that's our next 2 actions. To reveal the Egyptian exhibit. This has 2 clues at 3 shroud, and after you fail a skill test while investigating, we lose an action. Sandstone sculptures and bejeweled artifacts from another era clatter the exhibit like the tomb of an ancient pharaoh. And this has a victory point, so if we clear both of these clues, well, we get an experience point, don't we? We put another doom threshold on restricted access. 4 of 5. Who knows what's going to happen after that? And we draw our Mythos card. Beyond the Veil. This surges. Put Beyond the Veil into play in your threat area. If your deck has no cards in it, take 10 damage and discard Beyond the Veil. Holy guacamole. So, if our deck, I'm going to put it down here. I know you can't see it. There's not a lot of room left in my threat area. I'm going to move these tokens down. If our deck runs out, we are dead. We're not going to be able to survive a hit of 10 damage. So, pop. That'll be it. If we lose our cards from our deck, we're dead. And that's a surge, so we take another card. It's another Beyond the Veil. So we'll put that in our threat area as well. And we will surge again. Stalked in the Dark. If the Haunting Horror is in play, it readies, engages you, and attacks each investigator. Otherwise, it gains surge. So he's not in play yet, so we surge. Slithering behind you. If Haunting Horror is in play, geez, I see a theme here. If Haunting Horror is in play, add a doom to it. If it's not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Haunting Horror and spawn it at your location. Engage with you. Well, let's take the deck and search for the Haunting Horror. This is not going to be good. So here he is. He's engaged with us. He is a 2 fight, 3 health, to evade with Hunter and retaliate, and at the start of the enemy phase, we reveal a token from the bag. If the revealed token has any of the icons, ready him. When he leaves play, place it in the void. So this guy is going to come back again and again and again during our time at the Miskatonic Museum. I think they need to, like, I'm really not a big reboot fan, and like, how can you reboot it with and do better than Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen? But you know, like, X-Men was the very first good superhero movie, like, ever. I mean, Superman 1 was really good, but in the modern era, X-Men was really good, and I feel like now you would want to do it again, but how are you going to cast Magneto and Xavier without those two now? So I don't know. Maybe they're lost in time and space. Anyway, we're engaged with this guy. We're in this exhibit hall. We need to get a clue here. It's our turn, so we're going to discard the stray cat and evade him. Right? That's an automatic evade, which will give us a chance to get one of these clues, go back to the museum halls, and reveal the next exhibit. We have to dig through this exhibit deck and find the hall that we're looking for, but it's definitely in the bottom three, which means there's two above it that are just a trick. They're just tricking us. Okay. So we don't have the means to get the clue. We have 2 knowledge against the clue's 3 shroud value. So we'll take the initiative. We're going to use take the initiative and resourceful, right? So we've used an action, so we get 2 wild pips from take the initiative, plus 1 from resourceful is plus 3. Which means we have 5 knowledge against the 3 threshold here in the museum halls. And if we're successful with resourceful, we can pull any survivor card not named resourceful out of the discard pile and put it in our hand. -4, that's a fail. Both of these cards are gone. That is a real kick in the ass. Oh boy, we're in a lot of trouble now. So we failed. We'll exhaust the rabbit's foot and draw a card. A lantern. It's our 3rd action. We're going to have to use 2 resources to put the lantern into play. As long as this guy is evaded, he won't attack us. So we'll put the lantern into play into our play area. Now that'll let us investigate at -1 shroud. Right? Now we enter the enemy phase. He's exhausted, so he won't hurt us, but he does ready, which means he engages with us again. So we'll have to deal with him next turn. But right now we have to deal with the 5th doom. Well, actually, first we get a... Hold on, jumping ahead. We'll exhaust Madame Lebranche, since we have no resources to gain a resource. Then we go to the enemy phase. He readies and he engages us. Then we'll take a resource and draw a card. Scene of the crime. Well, alright, that's actually quite nice, as this will let us, if it's your first action, discover a clue or 2 clues if there's an enemy, which there is. And this does not provoke attacks of opportunity. So that is actually a top deck draw, which is just what we needed. But now we must add the 5th doom to this agenda and see what horrors the night will bring. From the shadows of the museum halls, a terrible creature slithers forth, long and serpentine, and propelled by black leathery wings. If the haunting horror is in play, add 1 doom to it. So he has a doom, which means he counts against the doom threshold for further agendas. If he's not in play, search, okay, well, he is in play. So that's it. We go to agenda 2, the shadows deepen. Feast your ears on this. The shadows in the museum grow and become darker. As the shadows lengthen and shift, they begin to suggest the sinewy body of an uncanny creature darting at the periphery of your awareness. When haunting horror enters play, attach the set-aside copy of Shadow Spawn to it, or add 1 resource to Shadow Spawn if it is already attached. Now, I don't remember what that card does. I've got it set aside here. I'm not going to read it because I'm afraid of it. But since it's already in play, that does not take effect. It will take effect the next time he comes into play. If we can continue to evade him, we can avoid that ever coming into play. We enter our turn by readying the Madame Lebranche, the rabbit's foot, Now we have the lantern, which may let us have a good chance at these clues. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? First action, we'll spend 2 resources to play Scene of the Crime, which does not provoke an attack of opportunity and allows us to discover 2 clues at our location. No attack of opportunity, but we're still engaged with this guy, so we're going to have to evade him. We have 3 agility against his 2, which means we're 1 above him, so we're going to take a chance by digging into our bag, revealing a Mythos token. This one! Da-da-da-da-da-da! A -1. So that's our 2 against his 2. He is evaded. Goodbye. That means we are making a quick exit. We have 1 action left. We will move to the museum halls. A quick turn. We're done. We take a resource. We have no resources, so we will exhaust Madame Labranche to gain a resource. We take a resource. We take a card. Graveyard Ghouls. Oh no, a treachery. Pray, William Yorrick. It is his personal treachery. A hunter. Graveyard Ghouls is engaged with us, and cards cannot leave our discard pile. Well, our special ability is nixed by these bastards. And now we enter the enemy phase, where he readies and hunts us as well. So now we have 2 enemies engaged with us. We better clutch that rabbit's foot, because I do believe that we are in a whole boatload of trouble now. What to do, what to do. Okay, it's our turn. We have the lantern. We can discard the lantern to damage an enemy that doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. We can get rid of 1 of these guys. We're going to have to spend both of our turns. We're going to have to spend our whole turn getting rid of these graveyard ghouls. Why did it have to be graveyard ghouls? You know what? We're going to gamble. We're going to swing for the fences by paying... Well, we don't have the 3 resources for the damn dog anyway. So we're just going to fight. We'll fight the graveyard ghouls. I think it would be... Evading them won't help. They'll just come with us. So we'll fight the graveyard ghouls. I take 3 health. Man. Why? I need to think on this. I need to think on this. We'll evade. We gotta fight. We've gotta fight. That's just it. We just gotta fight. We'll fight the graveyard ghouls first. Our 4 attack against their 3 attack. And we gotta spend our whole turn to knock these guys out. This is the danger of playing solo. We are not... -1, that's a pass. That's 1 damage. We don't have any of our combat cards out. Second action. Our... Wait a minute. Yeah, our 4 against their 3. -1, that's a pass. That's 2 damage. And our third and last action. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Skull. That's bad. -1, but -3 if the hunting horrors at our location. So we cannot finish the graveyard ghouls this turn at all. So our turn is over, and we go to the enemy turn, where we take 1 damage and 1 horror from the ghouls, and 1 damage and 1 horror from the haunting horror. Yikes. So we take 2 damage, putting us to 3. So we'll put 1 on Madame Labranche, 1 of each, 1 damage and 1 horror, and 1 damage and 1 horror on us. And we're really going to have to pray that we don't reveal some kind of enemy or something. But anyway, it's the end of the round, so we'll take a resource and a card. A cherished keepsake. That'll be nice if we can get it out. It would be nice if we can get it out. We'll put a doom on the threshold, which is 1 of 7, but the haunting horror also has a doom, so it's technically 2. And we take a Mythos card. Pushed into the... a vicious blow from the top of our for our hand, which will give us the +1 damage. We may be able to kill this thing. It needs 3 health, so we don't have any of our weapons, so even the vicious blow won't be enough to kill it. We'll just have to find a way to evade it again. We place another doom on the agenda. 2 of 7 plus the 1 from Haunting Horror is 3. And we drew a card. We draw a Mythos card. Terror from Beyond. Peril. Choose one of the following card types: asset, event, or skill. Each player discards each card of from his hand of that type. So let's look at our hand and see what we've got before we make our decision on what to discard. Alright, we've got a skill, we've got an asset, we've got an event. We're going to discard an event, we're going to discard our resourceful. So I think we're doing alright without it. We can live. And that Mythos card doesn't really do us too much damage. We enter our turn, still engaged with this Haunting Horror, so we will simply evade it. Our 3 against his 2. Drawing from the Mythos bag. A -1, which is good enough to evade it. And we will use our next clue to reveal the next exhibit hall. The Medusa exhibit. Ooh. 1 clue at 2 shroud. If you fail a skill test while investigating, discard an asset. That's dangerous, but it only has 2 shroud. So we want to go there. We will leave the Haunting Horror here and make our way to the administration office once again. I put the 1 clue on here. Our turn is done. In the enemy phase, he readies and hunts us again, engaging with us once more. His thing will not leave us alone, but we get a resource and a card. Bury them deep, our special card, William Yorrick deck only. Play after an enemy is defeated, add that enemy to the victory display. Wow! We can get rid of this Haunting Horror. If Haunting Horror leaves play, place it in the void. Forced. When you defeat an elite enemy, add it to the victory display. Which one takes precedence? Well, I believe that we are going to have to use the Arkham Horror Grim Rule, which says that if you ever have a decision that you can't come to terms with, you must make the worst decision for your investigator. That is a rule. So we're going to have to say that we cannot exile the Haunting Horror, as he seems pretty essential to stopping us from just totally dismantling this mission. So, in the very least, we can use it on somebody else, or we can use it for its skill icons. Oh boy. There's our hand. Start our turn, engage with this damn thing again. Our 3 agility against his 2. We must evade. Occultist token. -1. If you fail, search the encounter deck discard pile and void for Haunting Horror. Okay, well, we didn't fail. We are going to evade him again, leaving him in the security office, and use our second move to go to the exhibit hall. And our third action to try and get the clue at 2 shroud, using our lantern, which gives it 1 shroud. So our 2 investigate against its 1 shroud. Wish us luck. Occultist token, that's -1 again, so we pass and get the clue. We spent that clue last time. I forgot to remove it. Woe is me. Alright, we enter the enemy phase. He readies and hunts us. Once again, he's engaged with us. This guy will not leave us alone. We should destroy him. If we had a weapon, we could fight him. Maybe we'll destroy him next turn. Maybe we will. We'll take a resource and a card, up to 5. We're pretty rich. Oh boy, a machete. You know what? That makes up my mind for me. So we add a doom here. That's the 3 on the Shadows Deepen plus 1. That's 4 of 7. And we reveal a Mythos card. Locked door. Attached to location with the most clues and without a locked door. Attached location cannot be investigated, but we can test our strength or agility to break the door. We'll put it in the exhibit hall. We're not going back there. We're going to forfeit the victory point. Our first action is going to be to pay 3 to play the machete, which allows us to deal an extra damage to an enemy that is engaged with us if he is the only enemy engaged with us. But that provokes an attack of opportunity, so we take 1 horror, and 1 health. So that's 3 health we've taken of 8 and 2 horror of 6. And now we get to work hacking and slapping. We use Vicious Blow as our second action to smash, add a +1 fight, giving us 5 against his 2, and +1 damage. And the machete already does +1 damage. So guess what? That's enough to kill him for his 3 health. -1, we send him to the void. So he goes up and over. We'll just keep him back here by the desk. But we destroyed him, which means we can play an asset from our discard pile by paying its cost. So let's take a look. We are going to take back our stray cat. Paying 1 and playing the cat. Right there. Now that was our second action, so we have another action. We will go back to the museum hall, so next turn we can spend a clue to continue seeking out the restricted hall. No enemies on the board, so we take a resource and draw a card. Another guard dog. I'd love to get one of those out. I would love to. We had a Doom. The Haunting Horror has a Doom, but he's out of play, so it doesn't count anymore. So we had 4 of 7, and we draw a Mythos card. Ancient Barrier, attached to our location. As an additional cost to move out of the location, test Willpower 4. For successful, we discard it. Otherwise, we can't move, or we can discard. We can move, but we can discard. We must discard the top 5 cards of our deck. Good lord! So we just test Willpower 4 for that. So it's our turn. That's the first thing we're going to do, is definitely try and do that. What do we have for Willpower? We'll discard the Cherished Keepsake and bury them deep, and that is 6 against 4. We need to be able to move. So the first thing we're going to do is spend a clue to reveal the next exhibit hall. It's the Nature exhibit. 4 Shroud, 1 clue. After you enter this location, discard 2 cards from your hand at random. That will take both of our dogs. Alright. That was our first action. Our second action is to move there, testing the Arcane Barrier, 6 against 4. We must succeed. A critical success! Feast your eyes on that! So we can return a card from our discard pile to our hand. Any card. We'll take a Vicious Blow so we can knock that Haunting Horror 6 ways from Sunday if he rears his ugly head again. So the Arcane Barrier is gone. We enter the exhibit hall, which has 1 clue. Okay. We have an action left? Do we have an action left? I can't remember, so I guess not. No enemies on the board. Take a resource, draw a card. Gravedigger's Shovel. Now that's our clue-getting card. That's exactly what we need. We had a Doom to the agenda, 5 of 7, and we draw a card. Twist of Fate. Reveal a random token from the Chaos Bag. If you reveal a critical symbol or a positive number, nothing happens. Any other symbol take a damage, or any mark take 2 horror. Alright, we've been through this before. We need to do it again. A number. So with a number, we take a damage. 4 of 8. Not too bad. We start our turn, and we pay 2 to equip our second hand slot with the Gravedigger's Shovel. And then, our action number 2, discard the Gravedigger's Shovel to discard a clue at our location. Done. No test necessary. And our third action is to move back to the museum halls to keep searching the exhibit hall. Oh boy, this actually isn't going too poorly. We could win. And it's another victory point as well. No enemies, so we take a resource and draw a card. Fight or Flight, plus X, evade or fight, where X is the horror value on us, which is 2. Pretty good for one resource. And now we draw a Mythos card, hoping for nothing too bad. Test willpower 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of your deck. Now that's what might kill us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 cards left in our deck. And we have nothing to discard for willpower, which is bad. But we will take the test anyhow and hope for good results. We draw from the Chaos Bag. Pa-pow! A critical fail, which means we lose 5 cards off the top of our deck. Which means we have 3 cards left for the entirety of the game. Oh, when it rains, it pours. Our turn begins and we spend a clue, hopefully finding the exhibit hall we need. The Athabascan exhibit, not correct. After you enter this location, lose all your remaining actions and end your turn. While you're in this location, you get +2 agility. Why would you ever go here? We're going to put this out of play. We need to go somewhere. There's no clues there, so we need to go somewhere else to get a clue. So we will move. God, we need to end this quickly. We've got 3 cards left. We will move. I don't know where to go. Back to the museum entrance. It's only 1 away. That's our first action. Second action, get a clue. Using the lantern, making the shroud value 2 against our knowledge value of 2. We have nothing we can discard to give us more knowledge, so we need something lucky, and we need it now. A skull, -1, fail. We exhaust our rabbit's foot to draw a card. Oh God, that's terrible. We don't want to draw a card. Yeah, we do. Oh my God, it's our treachery card. Put drawing the sign in a play to the threat area. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 5. So our maximum hand size has gone from 8 to 3. And we 2 to get rid of that. Forget about that. We'll try to get it a second time. 2 against 2. -1. Fail. A third time. 2 against 2. Oh my God. Come on. -1. Fail. No enemies. We put Doom, 6. We get a resource. We draw a card. A stray cat, once again. We start our turn. We try to find the clue. We draw, 2 against 2. -1, fail. We draw once again, 2 against 2. Skull, -1, fail. We draw for a third and last time before we are totally destroyed. Occultist, -1, and we spawn the Haunting Horror, which doesn't matter, because at the end of our turn, when we draw the last card of our deck, we take 10 damage. It was an unexpected courage. We really could have used that. We take 10 damage. We are defeated, and we lose. So we must take a physical trauma, which means for the rest of this campaign, we will take a damage to start each adventure. For the next 5, not good news for William Yorrick. Ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the Mythos Zone. This has been Flying Solo, and we will catch you up with the resolution and the deck changes for our next adventure. Thank you, Silver Aura, my lackey, for being the only one that had enough guts, willpower, and agility to stay with me. Goodbye.